Hello and welcome back to this Phantasy Star 4 playthrough.
And Regdon didn't forget anything this time.
Let's show off this tourist trap junk that we got.
Who are you with? Let us know in the comments.
I'd like to hear about that too. Although we do have money to spare.
Strangely enough. Okay, so where are we going?
We are going to the Soldier's Temple as soon as I remember which town it's next to.
Oh, I remember.
Yeah. At first I thought, well, they talk about the Soldier's Temple in Tono, so maybe it's near there, but no.
No, it is not.
It is not.
Don't worry, you'll get it right eventually.
Yeah, it was visible from Krupp way back when, and thankfully for all of us, it's still there.
Yeah, you can see it from where you start. It's like Sharlock Castle that way.
It's not quite that much so, because it's not next to the very first town you start in.
Hey, new guy.
Hello, new guy. How'd you get here? Well, actually, that's not fair. They talk about using stuff like rafts. We just took the quick way. He's not kidding. His skills are very strong.
Yeah. And that's all I'm going to say about that.
Don't worry, I'm gonna say more when we take a look at what those skills are.
Okay.
Well, that's not a shady portrait at all.
He also has a unique piece of equipment. The cyber suit is something that only he has.
Yep. Those... Well, we've encountered those skills before.
I'm sure it's fine.
I'm not convinced those are good guy skills.
It's fine.
Well, he said he's an archaeologist, and we do happen to have access to the only university town in the world, which is where all the archaeologists hang out, so maybe at least one of the people here knows about him.
We're gonna check that out. Oh.
I guess Han doesn't know about him, and no one else is going to make any comment on him either. I'm glad they put that in the game, by the way.
I'm sure it's fine. I have confidence.
Well, that aside, we're going into this cave to pick up the arrow prism. Again!
Yes, this is the third time we've had to pick it up in this series.
Yeah, the only reason it didn't show up in Phantasy Star 3 was Phantasy Star 3 did not take place in Algo.
Yes, so the arrow prism first appeared in Phantasy Star 1, and you had to go through a dungeon, I forget which one, to get it, and it was required to reveal the location of the air castle.
One of very many steps required to get there.
However, after the events of Phantasy Star 1, Lutz kept it, because of course he did.
Well, what are you gonna do? Throw an artifact like that away? I don't think so.
And in Phantasy Star 2, when you encounter Lutz, he gives Rolf the arrow prism, which reveals the location of 4 hidden dungeons on Desolus, which contain the game's ultimate equipment, and retrieving that is required to enter the endgame.
Well, Seth's, perfectly reasonable and not at all suspicious skills do make this cave kinda trivial. Well, the monsters are not that strong, especially not compared to Valfort, but still, he has 18 corrosions, and that's more than enough to clear the way throughout the whole thing. So much so that I set a macro specifically for it.
I think you're just a very suspicious person.
You know, there's more than one way to interpret that phrase. It could mean...
I know.
You did that on purpose, huh?
I'm not saying anything. So, you're blowing up all the monsters here, no problem.
Yeah, no problem whatsoever. And there's not a whole lot to this cave. There's a few treasure chests with consumables, but you can safely skip them if, like me, your inventory is already full of that sort of thing.
Well, we may want to take that.
I guess Saldu is not bad.
But can you really sacrifice a cure paralysis for it?
Oh man, I don't know. And an escapipe is in there. I don't know what I'd do without that.
By the way, for those of you considering trying the previous games in this series, there are a bunch of ROM hacks that greatly lessen the grind that's just a thing in early Phantasy Star games.
I appreciate that the game lets you use stuff that you've just picked up if your inventory is full. And we've seen something like this before, I think.
Yeah, we fought it as a Hunter's Quest boss.
Yeah, I tried to get the slimes here to combine into one of those, but I couldn't get it to work.
Oh well. Oh, yeah, death spell.
Yep. Well, to be fair, we have some brutal instant death skills before all this. Like, DM is not a savory looking skill. You know, I feel like, considering this guy is using skills that would allow him to just solo everything on his own, then telling us how strong we are like that feels kind of sarcastic to me.
I'm sure it's okay. He's just enthusiastic.
Yeah, but the game doesn't tell us a whole lot about him. Although, that's not really the first time we've gotten a character we don't know much about, at least at the start.
So, why do you keep these slime encounters in here?
I had to prove to myself that I could beat this stuff without Seth's help. It's an ego thing.
Alright. Yeah, these things don't give a huge amount of experience either, at least not for this point in the game.
Yeah, it feels like they're monsters from 2 dungeons ago. There's plenty of them, though. So what I'm wondering is how Lutz got the Arrow Prism after the events of Phantasy Star 2.
Well, I don't think they actually blew up Spaceship Noah.
Well, there's no sign of it in Phantasy Star 4, although, okay, yes, 1,000 years, maybe something happened.
And it's not like you actually need to go there.
Yeah, but I think that if a large colony-sized ship was around Algo, they would have mentioned some of it when they scanned around the place.
Well, whatever the case, Lutz had very powerful teleportation skills, so we might have just brought Rolf back. After it was done.
I still think it's a little optimistic to say that he survived that final battle. I mean, the Earthmen definitely did not survive.
Well, I think that if...
I think that's unfair. In,
We have on-the-job training.
well, that and in Chaz and Alice's house, in his room, he mentions that Alice puts him through a very strict training regimen, so he definitely trains.
At least while Alice is around.
Well, maybe, but I don't think he slacked off on his exercise or anything after that event. If anything, he's more motivated, you know?
Okay, we're out of the cave.
Hooray! No more encounters around here. And there's no boss because Lutz did this. He would definitely not leave a boss to stop us from getting his thing back. I hope not, anyway. Inventory. Why can't I have a Final Fantasy inventory?
Why didn't you get rid of the flame sword?
I did.
Okay.
Lutz doesn't know? He used it before.
Well, technically, Alice and Rolf used it.
See, now he knows. It is really nice to have an android with you, and oh, well. I guess that's Holy Artifact Light or something.
Okay, so this makes 3 now? Well, technically 4.
Yes, 4. About that.
Yeah, basically, Phantasy Star 3 is taking place around the same time as this game.
You might wonder if Parma being destroyed was what allowed more than one dark force to go through. Why didn't one jump into Algold the moment Parma got destroyed? And the answer is, that's exactly what happened. After the planet was destroyed, a dark force came and started wrecking some of the colony ships that had gotten away until it was sealed. And 1,000 years after that is when Phantasy Star 3 happened.
Yep. Okay, so Dark Force 3 is... I've always found it the toughest of the 3 of them because you're down a character.
It is definitely a thing to worry about.
And it's not even less durable than Dark Force 2.
Oh, you mentioned that the timeline was a little bit different in the Japanese version. You know anything about that?
Yeah, Phantasy Star 3 took place 1,000 years after this game.
Which is... It strikes me as being very odd that there would still be a Dark Force running around, considering what we do at the end of this game.
Yep. Also,
That's why I prefer the Western chronology better.
Also, concerning Seth, one of the debates that's still going on even now is whether Seth was aware that he was Dark Force.
That... I can see why one would say that maybe he was just being inhabited at the time, but at the same time, those skills he was using, I feel like you can't use that and kind of not know what you're doing and what's going on here. As for the battle, well, it's, as my brother said, it's tricky, especially because I can't put up the full set of buffs at the start. And there's another twist to it, which is he has a party-wide sleep thing which removes my buffs, which puts more weight on Rika when that happens.
Plus, his skills are just pretty powerful in general.
Yeah. You definitely want both the barrier and Deban up because, well, Deban is obvious. Look at what his arm is made of.
Sword.
It's made of sword. But despite being this beefy, physical-looking boss, its corrosion is also very strong.
Plus, this is the boss you fight right after Dark Force 2.
Oh yeah, you'll have to recast Saner as well. And that's actually a bit of a problem, because if you haven't been keeping your health at its as high as it'll go, it could slow you down and then hit you before you've recovered.
Correct.
The whole buffing situation was so serious that, as you might have noticed in the first round or two, I had Wherein use a Stardew rather than use Rika's turn on something other than putting up the buffs. And although I have plenty of dew recovery items overall, Stardew is still the rarest and I don't have a huge number of those.
So, Rune is double shielding, right?
Of course he's double shielding.
Okay, just making sure.
I mean, look, his attack command is not there.
I'd just like the audience to keep that in mind.
Yeah, I don't know how crits work exactly. But
they're based on the difference between the attackers and the defender's base agility.
Yeah, I know about what affects critical chance. I'm just wondering how the damage formula works. Because I still think at least some part of it ignores defense. Mm-hmm. Or maybe defense is just 1-for-1, so it's like a Fire Emblem 4 critical. It's technically not defense piercing, but it works out that way.
Yeah, it is 1-for-1. Because that's how Daban works.
Okay. Is that also how Mafia works, though? Okay, fine, never mind. Although, durability is not really something to worry about, at least, I mean, for my ability to deal damage to the boss, because most of the companions I've had have been of the defensive type.
Right.
I mean, my offense has basically been Nathu, Flare, rune spells, and maybe Rika if I'm okay for health. For example, Dark Force attacking Wherein is the best case scenario for me because apparently, not surprisingly, the Silver Tusk is still amazing.
Yes, it will... I kept it on until through the end of the game, basically.
That's because chest damage is just so good against everything important in the game.
And down he goes.
Down it goes. And good thing too, because I was starting to run low on technique points. I'm happy to say that enemy attacks were not to the point where I needed Naysar, because that would have wiped me out quick. Oh, they had a Dark Force transponder or collective memory or something. Well, actually, since Dark Force is, as far as we can tell, a piece of the Profound Darkness, that doesn't seem too nonsensical.
Yep.
Also, having an android with us was very helpful.
Mm-hmm. It has always been helpful.
Yeah, but usually it's not really the whole inbuilt computer calculations thing that was the big deal. It's just, in this case, it was.
Fair enough.
And I kind of forgot where I parked the spaceship. Yeah, I'll figure it out between this video and the next one.
Oh, we're done?
I think so. We went through a dungeon, we did some fairly important plot stuff, and...
We beat a Dark Force?
Well, yeah, we beat another Dark Force. So I think that's it. So we'll find the ship and follow the light beam next time.
See ya.